Today I am here with Blair Marcus, founder of EBM Media, and she is a master at working in the PR industry. She saw a gap in the market and decided to build something that didn't exist for people in entertainment, for creators, and so much more. I am so excited to have her on today. Her company has just exploded. She runs an incredible team of Gen Z and millennial employees, and they work with the best in the business. So I can't wait to get into it. Thanks for watching Creator Etiquette. Hey everyone, it's Gigi Robinson. I am back with another episode of Creator Etiquette, and today I have a fun guest for you. I think we became internet friends maybe like 5 or 6 years ago at this point.
That's so long.
It is a long time ago, and we've been running into each other at events, so this is very well overdue. I have Blair Marcus on today, and she's going to be talking all about PR in the creator economy, how she works with big celebrities, reality TV stars out here in LA, and I can't wait to get into it. So let's do it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly honored. In the wise words of Taylor Swift, it's been a long time coming.
Oh, yes.
But I'm just so impressed with everything that you've built and continue to build. And so it's an honor to be here.
Thanks. I can't wait. And I know we're going to see each other again in a couple weeks.
Heck yeah. So. South of France.
Yeah. It's
Twist my arm.
So just off the bat, you started this company for yourself. And I think something a lot of entrepreneurs are always hesitant to do is start a company. So I'm curious if you could take us back to the beginning about what inspired you. What was that like pivotal moment where you're like, no, don't want to do a 9 to 5 at all. I'm going to start something for myself, even if I fall on my face.
Yeah. No, great question. So I was working as a journalist at Us Weekly for about 4 years. And in 2019, the end of 2019, I had just graduated college, and a few things were happening at the same time. One of them, to be so real, was burnout. I was just kind of having a revelation, like there has to be more to life than just writing articles about Kim Kardashian's nail polish color. Like I love nail polish and I love Kim Kardashian, but like there has to be more.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I started to be pitched people that I've never heard of who were becoming famous in ways I've also never heard of. And it became really evident that, you know, what we now know as creators, but before they were just this like mystical, like vague internet people, we're not working with teams that like really understood how they were communicating and then kind of translate that message to mainstream media. Because as you know, like, you know, your internet self, which is maybe oversharing, more casual, is like very different than your refined media self. Yes. And there's two parts of you. They should both exist and be besties, but there's a time and a place for each. And I just felt like I was being pitched people so robotically who I needed to be pitched in a way that was just refreshing and brand new, and they weren't household names yet.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that happening. And then I kind of just like saw a gap in the market when COVID happened and realized there wasn't really an agency working with these talent, and I could reverse engineer what I knew worked and didn't work as a journalist who got 9 zillion emails a day and know how to stand out in an oversaturated inbox. And a lot of it was just right place, right time, and taking a chance.
I love that because over the years, I feel like I graduated in 2020, so we're similar in age. The crazy thing about the creator world is that once somebody you know gets press, you automatically think you need it. There's actually not even like a real meaning behind it. I just feel like it's that element of FOMO that creators or people in the industry are like, I just need press. And back in the day, when I say back in the day, you guys, I literally mean like 2020.
Way back when.
Getting a verification check was based on real press.
Yeah.
So getting a publicist was something I know a lot of creators would hire for a couple of months, get the big publicity that they were looking for, then submit for verification, and then, you know, blow the publicist off. So how have you seen publicity and having a PR rep change since when you first started?
Yeah. I mean, can I ask you a follow-up?
Sure.
Like, do you feel like it was mostly that element of FOMO, or do you feel like there was that? Because I feel like now a lot of the conversations are about just like, especially my clients who are on ensemble casts or like have a podcast, like it's about establishing your competitive edge within your space. But do you feel like that didn't exist quite then, and it was really just about like the quick hits, like kind of making yourself as relevant as possible?
I think for some people that I know, it is about the quick hit so you can get the verification check mark so that it can look a certain way rather than just having, you know, your account as it is and letting the work speak for itself.
Right.
I think that's ultimately what makes good press, is when you have a competitive edge that speaks to your work and to what you're doing. And I'm sure it's different for people that are a part of ensemble casts, like you're saying, that are in reality TV. But as a, you know, solo creator here, I always am looking for like what's a unique angle. For example, a couple of months ago, I was approached for a story about my dog's Instagram account. And I was like, actually, sure, this is great. Like their SEO is fine, but it could be better versus if you Google my name, a bunch of stuff pops up. The Google Knowledge panel,
Yeah.
all of my links, and
You are the gold star SEO gal.
I honestly think so.
You really are.
And that means a lot coming from you. So in terms of SEO, can you just explain the benefit of that to a creator that may not understand what the importance is?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it's interesting. So a lot of times, and I noticed this with like early clients when I was, early in my career, so like 2020, 2021, who I knew were household names on the internet, were getting press. Like if you Google them, that just looks like clickbait. AI, before we even knew what AI was, just like taking salacious comments that they said completely out of context, and that was a headline on a tabloid. And in reality, they're driving billions of dollars for brands. They are extremely influential, and it just wasn't translating. And this was before, you saw like the D'Amelios on the cover of Forbes. Like it was just predating that, and I still felt like there was this disconnect. And SEO matters a lot because back to like the oversharing side, I've had clients who are known for that, like they're story time creators. And what happens is they get articles that are just not what we want being searched when you're working with brands like Prada and when you're walking in Fashion Week. And so we needed to really clean that up. So it's like what you're giving glamour and bustle is going to be different than how you're communicating with your audience on TikTok. And because you're searchable, like your searchability is your resume. When people Google you, like when I don't know who someone is, or if I get an email that looks a little bit vague to me, the first thing I'm doing is looking at someone's Instagram and Googling them, and not even TikTok. Maybe that's because I'm a little older. Oh my God, but I'm not. I'm looking at Instagram and I'm Googling. So
do you use LinkedIn as a tool?
Love. I'm a little bit behind on LinkedIn, but like I go through phases where I'm like locked in, like checking my notifications. Like it's like an addiction for me. And I know you're the LinkedIn queen. And you are. And I think LinkedIn's amazing. I've posted things on LinkedIn. I love creative writing. And that have just brought, the algorithm is insane. Like I could literally post something about clients of mine who are in sports and like everything we did during All-Star Weekend. I did post this. And then I got inbound requests from people I didn't realize who were like, oh my gosh, I'm working with XYZ. We're looking for a PR team. Would love to connect. And I'm like, how the heck did you find me? And LinkedIn is magical.
So on that note, when you are searching for clients, because I guess this could be applied to any kind of creator in the industry or anyone who has a business, right? Sometimes you're pitching to them, but other times it's inbound. Can you just tell us a little bit more about how you established credibility for yourself in the industry? Because I know it's like can be 0 to 100 in this PR world.
Yeah, no, it's a fine line as a publicist. Like there's like a lot of publicists wear black. It's like publicist black is like our uniform. And the reason that exists is because like we are not the story. Like you never want to take away from the client. Like you never want to outstage a client. Like I think there's a saying like your accountant should never have a nicer car than you. Like that kind of ethos. And so I never want my clients to feel like I'm stealing their attention, because like I genuinely like am in service to them, and that's what I love doing, and that's what gets me going. But at the same time, like they need to know that they're working with someone who's legit and who has like industry credibility. And so I do every year like a certain amount of like press or speaking opportunities, like strategically, to just like keep that relevance and like maintain that stance as like a thought leader and someone in my field who can be like that. And it's actually opened opportunities to work with like B2B clients. Like I represent other agencies now because they've noticed that I can like fine tune that kind of PR for myself. But yeah, it's like I think really important to kind of have like a public persona, to be searchable. And a lot of my clients now, like luckily, like I do cold pitch ones if I really, really want someone to go after them. It's usually like extremely tailored. Otherwise, like I'm so blessed that like I know if there's agents or managers that are recommending a publicist to their client, like I'm one of 3 maybe other agencies that specialize in creators that they're gonna refer. And like to know that is like a great feeling.
How do you feel about repping people that are like in the same world? For example, if multiple people from the same show are on, multiple creators in the same niche, because I know there's kind of like this competitive nature of like who's going to get the story that can happen. Do you experience that at all?
All the time, yeah. And it's across every industry. It's like every single industry has this. And I'm very careful about it. And so always transparent. Like I'm extremely honest. Like I never want somebody to find something else out about me through another party. Like, they're going to hear it from me. But I have had clients who are like, oh, I really want you to work with my boyfriend, or, oh, my friend really wants to work with you. And if they're on the same cast, I'll create internal teams that are like completely different, that aren't like, my team is very collaborative. We're not competitive internally, but like the same people that are working with X will not work with Y. And so like the way they're being pitched is different. All of their meetings are different. Like, I've had couples before and like their teams are entirely respective. And I think they appreciate that because it doesn't feel like they're being looped in together, and there's like a respective strategy. Because typically when I'm working with clients, especially on those casts, like I'm looking to take that virality and turn it into longevity. And so we don't want to continue talking about your relationship. It's like, I want to talk about like the things you care about, your passions, your interests in the world. Like, do you want to write a book? Do you want to host a podcast? Do you want to host? Like, what are we doing here? And so it's the continuation of that story.
And when you're talking about continuing a story, building a story for somebody, and talking about other things than like just like what they're doing, again, like who they are, building this up, what is the relationship of PR for a personal brand?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think that especially post-COVID, like people need to believe in a why.
Yeah.
And founder-led brands, I think, do 80% better. There's like a statistic around there than brands that are just generic, especially if you're like, you know, in a department store or like walking down an aisle and you have that recognizability because, oh, I know this because they did that in the world, or like their founder did this. And I think that's like super, super important to like have a, you know, brains behind the operation that somebody can connect with. And I love working with founder-led brands. Like most of our clients that are on our brands department, like are female founders, and they have a strong why. I mean, like a sunless tanning brand we represent is founded by a woman who grew up in foster care, and the only thing that made her feel confident growing up was when she had a spray tan, and that led to her developing a insanely successful business. And there's a strong why behind that, and so I think people really connect to it.
I love that idea also. So I want to shift gears a little and make this kind of like a creator PR masterclass.
Okay,
are you down?
I'm down.
So I guess to start off, when is that defining moment that a creator needs a publicist, and or how should they prepare themselves for that moment? Because I know they're two different things. I know for myself, if I were to go back in 2022 and I was in SI Swim, I definitely was looking around for different PR firms, and something that did shock me at the time was the cost. And I think there were some creators saying, you just need a publicist because it will take you farther, or you just need a publicist to help you manage this so that you can do other things, or you just need a publicist because that way you'll get on more red carpets or more fashion shows. So I'm just wondering, when should a creator invest in a PR team, and or how do they prepare themselves for it?
Such a great question, and it just speaks to like your like knowledge and expertise in this space, that like you've been around the block and you really understand like exactly how to ask this question, because it's nuanced. And I think it kind of goes back to like everybody has a different idea of what PR is.
Yeah.
There are some people who literally think PR is just like having a Getty photo and going to events,
which is great.
Amazing. And that's honestly why our first tier package of working with us is events only.
Yeah.
It's unlimited, it's month to month, and we just pitch you for events.
And just to elaborate on that for people listening, when we're saying that, that means movie premieres, that means influencer events, that means music festivals.
Totally.
Like,
launch parties. We also do like itinerary creation for like Coachella, Fashion Week, South by, whatever it might be. And I created that model because I got so many inquiries, and I was like, oh my God, that's also baked into our general like retainers, but some people just care about that. And it's a good entry level step to kind of see like if you want to go out and do that, because back to the investment part, like PR is not, it's a luxury service. We're not teaching kids how to read. We're not saving the world from cancer. Like, it is, I think, extremely important when you reach the point of your career where you can have the luxury of investing in yourself. But I am not unaware of the fact that it's not an essential resource. And so I show up every day, and so does my team, to like prove that we have a spot at the table. Like, we deserve to be there because we're not commission based. And so as a self-funded, you know, business especially, like I take that really seriously. And people's investment, I just kind of try to stretch it as like much as I possibly can, because I know that people are putting into it, and they're going to expect something from that. And so the events only tier, like after that, kind of goes into more of like an in-depth retainer model, which is very 360 PR. All of our clients have like an events person on our team. One is on the East Coast, one is on the West Coast. And so the first thing we do when we onboard a client is like understand what kind of events they want to go to. Some clients don't really want to go to any events and just want to go to like the high level ones. Other people want to be everywhere and want to network. And you never know. I've had clients go to FYC events and they meet the head of casting at HBO. Like, it happens. And the thing I'll say about events and PR in general is that like you get what you give. And so I joke, but it's not really a joke, that I give our clients adult homework, because it's like, we are going to be ready for you. We will send you call recaps, call agendas, action items for you, action items for us. Like, we will steer the ship and be overly communicative. But if you ditch a reporter, if you don't go to the event you said you're going to go to, if you don't tag the brand that you said you did, because we're trying to like play the long game and get you front row for their fashion week show, there's only so much we can do. There's only so much apologizing we can do. And so I know we're going to talk about like readiness too, but like I think aside from the events, like we pitch our clients for speaking opportunities, digital, print, radio, podcasts, magazine covers. I've had clients give commencement speeches. And so it's extremely 360, just expanding your footprint digitally and in person. But you really have to be ready to like, know that it's not just like an investment in a service that's going to give you a report. Some companies will. That's just not how I work. Like, we are just extremely day to day.
I also think something about events that I loved early on was right after my whole SI swim thing. I was like all of a sudden invited to these New York Fashion Week shows, and I was like, this is crazy. I grew up in New York City. I went to LaGuardia High School, and a lot of shows used to be right there in Lincoln Center. And I was just kind of bamboozled by what goes into it, because it's not just showing up to the event. It's getting the photo as you walk in. It's getting the photo with the Getty photographer, going up to the photographer with or without a PR agent, being like, hey, excuse me, John, can you grab my photo?
It's a grind.
And then making sure that they get your name and that it's in the Getty images, which also helps SEO, because anytime you look me up now, my Getty images come up or my Shutterstock images come up. And I've just learned this and paid attention to it, but I'm sure at a certain level, people are like, yeah, my publicist will just handle that for me.
It's awkward to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah.
And I've seen people struggle with that. And like, we're also super hands-on, like, where we'll never just be like, goodbye and good luck, have fun at the event.
Yeah.
Like, we are baby stepping you through like everything. Cause like, you're right. There's so many opportunities. And if you're greener to it, like my first few years actually Fashion Week, I had the worst time ever. I was miserable. I was a green publicist. I was just starting my company, but I went there with the intention of learning. I like knew, okay, I'm not going to like have clients that are going to huge shows. I just want to sit back and observe and like really take time to like learn how this works, so that maybe not next year, but the year after, I will come back and crush it. And like, not last year, but the year before that, we had a client sit front row at Miu Fashion Week in Paris. And it's like, there is a runway.
Yeah.
And like, you just have to play the long game. And I think people struggle with that, especially in like, 'cause there's so much instant gratification. And like, in order to really perfect it, it's not overnight, because like, as you said, like, there's so many things. Like, I've studied other publicists who I deeply respect and admire, because they're great at their jobs and they should be studied.
Yeah. On the note of competition, how do you move through that? I know this question just came to mind and I want to jump back to the other stuff, but while you're talking about it and admiring what other people do and how good they are at what they do, how would you suggest creators embody that as they are on their growth journey?
It's a great question. I think I always preach collaboration over competition. Like, some of my closest friends are people that I could in another world hate and be like arch enemies with. You just get farther if you don't think like that. Yeah. You're always going to need a favor from somebody. Someone will always have a contact that you really need to have. You might just want a third-party opinion. So I really value those relationships. Also, maybe there's a client that's not right for me that could be great for someone else, or vice versa, depending on rate, depending on bandwidth. Yeah. And I think obviously that's different for creators, but I really think if you like fine-tune your competitive edge, so you know that like you have to really believe like I am one of one in what I do. Like, I am the go-to, the archetype, the blueprint for this specific thing. And other people might have like, same blueprint, different font, but like, here's what I know how to do really well. And like, working with this person can only amplify me, because they're not a competitor. They're not going to take away. They're only going to like add value.
Right. So let's talk about how a creator prepares for the moment that they need PR. For me, I was told by other people that I would say came before me in the SI world that as soon as you get an SI swim, you need a publicist, which I don't know, looking back, if I would do anything different, but I'm just curious like about, again, that investment and really when that moment is, because for me, I just did what other people told me to do and what was like the right next step if I wanted to go far down that world, which I was like, sure, why not for a couple months? Like, let's just see how this goes. And also something to note for creators, which I'm sure you can tell us more about, isn't it like usually a 3 to 6 month runway that you need to really see that traction? So I'm really curious about preparing for that moment, because people will just, in my opinion, not understand the ROI for what they're investing in. And they may just say, oh, well, that's too expensive, so I won't do it, even if they need it, or vice versa. Like, maybe they'll invest in it and they're not ready.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious if you can tell us more.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've had clients who have amazing businesses, like they are ready to go and they won't respond to emails, or maybe they're in the middle of training their CMO.
Yeah.
I don't even have a point of contact. And I'm the kind of person who will go to the founder, whoever my contact is, and be like, listen, like, you guys are awesome. You're just not, like, I don't want to waste your time. And I'd rather us like resume this when like we can just crush it for you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise what'll happen is like, they'll text us, oh, by the way, we're launching this tomorrow. Excuse me? Hi, like, what world do we live in? Like,
Yeah.
would love to move there where I can just call up so-and-so and they'll do a story in 12 hours. And
Yeah.
sometimes, yes, like, I will always try. I will never say no, but I'll be super honest and be like, that's why I'm very transparent from the jump of, like, the lead times and everything. And it's why we don't sign month-to-month contracts for PR. Events are the only ones. It's just really easy to jump in and out
Yeah.
of. But you said this earlier, like, you started going to events and you were invited to more events.
Mhm.
It is a ripple effect. If
Yeah.
you go and, you know, event producers, publicists, whatever, know that you're someone who will be so generous, show up on time, post, engage with people, they're going to want you everywhere. You're a good look for them. You're a great
Yeah.
reflection of what they're trying to sell to the audience. And so, that is something that, like, a lot of our clients for events, like, see, and, like, eventually they will grow into, like, the full PR because of that. You have to really, like, understand, like, the time commitment too. And, like, what I was saying earlier with, like, if you're spending money and expecting to be on the cover of Vogue tomorrow, like, you should just pay for it because you can. It's about $50,000. There's a lovely lady in Czechoslovakia who I can connect you with who will put you on the cover, and do that. Because otherwise, like, you need to give people time to get going. Like, we are not the kind of people who are like, oh, it's a month onboarding process. No, like, this is exactly what happens. Like, when we sign a client, like, we'll give them a sign date. Before we even start with them, we give them an onboarding document so they can fill in all the questions that, like, become an encyclopedia for us of who they are. So I don't have to constantly ask, oh, who's your go-to makeup artist? What's your address for gifting? What are your dream publications? Like, who are the people you like and who you do not like, so we can run audits? Like, those are all things we have before. Our team studies that. And then our onboarding meeting, we already know what's going on. And we can, like, dive into, like, this is our plan. Here's how we're going to attack it. And then we start pitching. And, like, at the top of every week, we create new pitches. So, like, someone like, you could talk about mental health. You can talk about the creator economy as a thought leader. You can talk about, like, beauty and wellness tips for all of the wellness things that you've gone through. Like, there's so many, every client's like a pyramid. There's so many angles. And so the outlets are different. Like, the story we would pitch for you to Forbes is different than the story we would give to New Beauty. And so then it's like feedback. And, like, some clients don't like to hear feedback. So we'll just not tell them if people passed or kind of massage it. Other clients really like to know. And I think that's great and helpful because we can say, listen, like, so-and-so said this. It's not a forever no, but it's like, this is interesting because if they're passing, maybe we should have more content on your social media about XYZ.
Right.
Or maybe their agent is telling us, okay, like, I'm trying to prepare them for a partnership with Neutrogena. Like, we really need to lean heavier into the beauty and wellness press to prepare for that. And they should be organically talking about why they like Neutrogena. Got it. So, like, we have our marching orders. And so it is very collaborative. It's not just like, we don't want to pretend like we know everything. Obviously, clients have been with us for years, or we kind of are like a well-oiled machine. But at the beginning, it's very much everyone's chatting, and, like, we can drive incredible results and fast when, like, everybody's on the same page.
Something I love that you said was the pyramid of where you can pitch yourself to, or the publicity team can pitch you to. So a misconception I hear often is, well, I just want press because I have 1 million followers. And whenever people come to me and say that, I'm like, but why do you want press? What's the ROI you're looking for from the press? And I think something that I've really channeled in any story I do is like, okay, if CNBC wants to come and do a story about the future of work, well, I can talk about being a Gen Z entrepreneur, graduating during COVID, working for myself, the creator economy, making my dogs into influencers, making money off of them. Like, I can talk about so many different things. And like you said, I could also talk to the US Sun, but I spoke with them about the products that I use to manage my chronic illness. And I was like, this is so unique, but it all enhances who I am as a person. So what kind of high level advice would you just give to people about unblocking that mindset of like, I only can be known for the 1,000,000 followers or like my comedy videos or whatever it is?
Yeah. I think it's that same kind of ethos that can be applied to like someone, like, oh, I don't need a publicist. I don't have
Right.
anything to promote right now. And like, so it's kind of the reverse of that. But like a word I love is evergreen. Like
Love it.
we really specialize in evergreen media. Like I can make anybody relevant. I can make this plastic cup relevant. It's just like, what's the story you're telling? Like, are we telling a story about the environment?
Yeah.
We're telling a story about how you should be drinking from plastic or not plastic bottles and glass bottles because XYZ. Like,
Yeah.
what are we sharing here? And like, how are you a part of that conversation organically? And so I have clients, and you know this better than anybody, who have 20,000 followers
Yeah.
and they are making more money and having more media than somebody with 1,000,000 followers. And maybe their followers are real, but if there's no why behind like what you're creating, like there can't just be like, I honestly would probably pass on someone who like just had static photos. I've had clients that are gorgeous that, and I say this because editors, I've literally been asked if they're AI, just because like, which is a scary question. Like I've had beautiful human, lovely clients who editors are like, is this a real person? I literally did a double take the first time I like saw that message, and they were genuinely not throwing shade. They were just
Wow.
curious. And it's because like she wasn't even that edited. She's just literally like an angel. And it's like, but that's the world we live in, where it's like you have to question that about everything that you see. And so you have to fight that much harder to be authentic. And she was just posting static photos. She wasn't posting videos. Like she didn't have like a niche, but like, and she was very new to press, but it was something that we worked through, and she is fantastic press now. And it's really possible to like overcome that. But she's someone who is really open to that feedback of like, what is like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like you really like have to have the why. Like the why needs to be there always.
Something that just popped into my head is I have heard some really large influencers, won't name them, talk on radio or talk at a summit or on a panel somewhere. And I'm like, who didn't prep you?
Oh my God.
So I'm wondering how you would prep a creator or somebody who might need press or need to invest in press for speaking gigs, for radio gigs, to really talk about themselves confidently in a way that represents a brand potentially really well, and or any future projects that they're doing.
Yeah, amazing question. So another thing that we do when we first onboard a client is create a media training Bible. And we do it with them. Like we go through it with them before their first interview. And it's different. A podcast media training is going to be different than a sit down like per interview. Like it's long form versus short form. Is it editable? Is it not? And I created this Bible like based on my time as a red carpet journalist and just kind of like reverse engineering things that I wouldn't say I was a gotcha reporter, but which means like exactly what you think it means. Like there's a headline based on something that you totally forgot you said that may have been taken out of context, but you use a super salacious word and you said it. And so I'm thinking of the worst possible situation to prepare our clients. Like the best scenario is they go into an interview that might be a little bit tricky and they're like, that was a piece of cake.
Yeah.
And we even do reunion preps. I've had clients that I do reunion preparations for, and like sometimes they hate me after. And like they go into their reunion though, and it feels like the easiest thing they've ever done in their life. And they're so confident. And I'd rather them have that feeling of like, crap, like what is this going to be like? And then be so over prepared. But a lot of the advice that we give people, even if they're not a polarizing figure, is just how to express yourself in the, like you said, like in the best, most confident way that reflects your message. But other times it's like tools to circumvent questions, like answer the question you wish you were asked, you know, teaching them things that they wouldn't know about journalist terms, like what does off the record mean? What does off background mean? What does sourcing mean? Like they don't know these things. And so a client could get on a call with a reporter and just be casually chatting before they think the interview starts, but it actually is already recording, and say, oh my God, I'm going to Rome tomorrow to visit this guy I'm seeing on his set. That's not public. They don't know that. And so then I always catch that because I'm always on the call with them and might, you know, I need to figure out behind the scenes, how are we making that go away? Or like what can be done here? But like a client doesn't know to say off the record, which is the most important tool of like how journalists and publicists actually get stuff done behind the scenes.
Yeah, I have found myself using that a lot, specifically for any story about finance or my business, not because I'm trying to hide anything, but because like people don't need to know certain things about my
Totally.
business. And sometimes the reporter will ask something and I need to explain a more specific context that I don't necessarily want people in my business like that. A lot of times certain journalists will be like, is that okay? And I feel like when journalists are talking to creators, and maybe it's different for like TV and celebrity, but when they're talking to creators, I think they will be like, is it okay if I record this? And then, like you said, a lot of people I know don't know to say, this is off record, blah, 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 blah. You can go back on record now. So I personally have just developed that as a muscle, but
Another thing you've learned where you're
yeah,
like a master at this.
yeah, I think there was this one piece with SI Swim, and it was all about living with my chronic illness. And it's, you know, they did this whole, the New York Post did this whole like exclusive, and it was really cool because I was like, opened it and I'm like in the center and it's like a whole page of me just like, hey. But you know, the line they used was, I turned my sickness into a selling point. And I was like, I don't think I would have ever written that. And I don't think I even said that, but maybe I did. And there's nothing I could do about it. Right now I have it printed. It's hanging in my office because I think it's a cool
You know what?
relic.
Stand by it. Like, and
Yeah.
that's led to other things where
It
it's like
has.
business press and things like that
Yeah.
because you have used a certain situation that
Yeah.
maybe wasn't favorable and have like turned it into a positive outcome. So there's always a spin.
Yeah.
There's always like, that's another thing too. Like I really stress to clients, like nothing is permanent or like permanently cancelable. Some things are. If you commit murder, like sorry. But like I've had clients, I do a lot of crisis management, who have found themselves in like, they're confiding in me in the lowest points of their lives where they don't see the way out. And I can always see the way out because I've been there before. I've dealt with a lot of stuff. And like, you have to really understand that like, there's a way to like tell a story, like no matter how like dark it gets, like there's always like a
Yeah.
pivot. And so like, obviously yours isn't as dark as some things, but like, I don't think that's, I think
Yeah.
that's totally like fine.
Yeah, everything totally worked out after that. And I think I remember just being like, wow, that is quite a headline.
Yeah.
And then after I was like, hey, you know what? People will open the magazine and then guess what? Next Sunday there will be something new in there.
100%.
So-
That's the one guarantee of media that
Yeah.
like there will always be something more interesting or more crazy, no matter how crazy it gets. Tomorrow, like every single time without fail, like someone will out crazy you.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about prepping talent for speaking engagements?
Yeah, definitely. Speaking engagements are really interesting, especially like if you're not just doing a fireside chat, but if you're on a panel with other people. And I've done a lot of panels, and so I'm always going into them like what, like maybe I'll practice something new. Like maybe I'll be like, okay, I'm not going to speak as much on this one, or who can I bounce off of that's like a good like person. It really like depends on the moderator. Like if the moderator is like not as engaged and it's really on like the speakers to kind of carry the show, but there's usually someone who will like monopolize the conversation, and I always try to not be that person. Like I'd always rather speak less rather than more. Like you want to keep people excited, you want to keep your audience feeling like it's like flirting. Like they got to know you like enough that they're really interested, but they don't know everything about you. Like they want to follow you on social media. They want to come up to you afterwards and talk to you because you hooked them. But I really think like having your talking points and like not memorizing, but just like knowing the things that you absolutely want to say, because you can get lost in the flow of the conversation. Like it can go in a million directions based on what somebody else said. And then I've had that before happen. And then I'm in the shower at night, like, damn it, why didn't I say X, Y, Z?
Totally.
And so I try to remind myself over and over again, okay, make this point, find a way to make this point. Or if I'm thinking about something while someone else is saying something, like, and I don't want to forget it, I'll just like echo it in my brain. It's hard to have like a, pad of paper or something, and I'm also trying to make eye contact too.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've made eye contact with people and they're awkward about it and they'll
Yeah.
look anywhere but at me, but you don't want to just like stare into space or at the grass. Like you're there for a reason, like own it and like connect with the people as much as you can.
Yeah. I remember I had a call with a speaking coach because in the past couple of years, aside from investing in press, I have invested in like a speaking coach. I've invested in like a business coach.
I have a business coach. He's like my everything.
Yeah, it's so valuable. So maybe
Yeah.
we'll just like pivot and talk a little bit about that. But because it is investment, all of these things are investments into your career. And I actually think the media training component for creators is far more valuable than actual press.
Yeah.
I don't know if you think the same or different, but that's my spicy publicity hot
No,
take
I
of the
love
day.
that. I think that's so true because like even it can be applied to anything. Like you said, like it can be applied to speaking, it can be applied to reunions.
Yeah.
It can be applied. I have clients who are like literally they're filming shows as they're working with us. And so it's not like, oh, like hiatus is a buzzy word where it's like maybe
Yeah.
a client, like a lot of people go on pause or hiatus if they're not filming a project. But I have clients who are on reality TV and they want a publicist like the whole time because they want to, go over the day plan. Like what scenes are they filming? What's going on with this person? How are they going to handle a difficult conversation on camera where they can't control how it's produced?
Yeah.
It might incorporate frankenbiting, which is a term. Do you know what frankenbiting is?
No.
Frankenbiting is a term. Oh my gosh. A lot of people don't know this, but if you
Never heard
Google it, you'll find it. Like people,
Okay.
there are some brave, talent that talk about it. It's baked into essentially like almost every reality TV contract. And it means that they can take something that you said in one scene and lip dub it into another scene. And so if you're saying, gosh, I really hate her, or like, oh, that was so annoying. And like, it could, like, they could put that in your lips in another conversation entirely to just like stir the plot. And it's the one thing that's,
Wow.
I'm not an agent, but I'm told by my clients and agents that it's the one thing that's basically impossible to like
Get out of
circumvent.
a contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And so it's kind of like you pick and choose your battles, but you have to be that much more careful. And when you're in the heat of the moment, maybe you're drinking, maybe you're really upset, maybe there's real emotions. It's impossible to like,
Yeah.
control how you might react to something that is so real.
Yeah.
So
Something I'm seeing happen a lot is obviously creators are being flown out to cities like Austin for South by Southwest, Advertising Week in New York, Cannes Lions out in France, and they're going on behalf of a brand. And this is why I personally believe in the speaker and the media training, and that it's so important, because I have just heard people go on panels and say something about a competitor or curse or say something that you're kind of like, wait, what? Like, did you really just say that? Or sometimes on the completely opposite side of creators, I've heard people on the brand side go on and say the most surface level, non-in-depth, information at all, because they're probably C-suite or executive leadership,
Yeah.
and they can't give
So
that much.
interesting that you
And
noticed
they've been primed and briefed by their publicity teams.
Right.
So I just think that that's going to get even bigger as things go on, as creators and brands are investing in relationships together in places that are really these like big cultural moments. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
No, 100%. And it's hard to be an apologist for a client when like they're speaking on a panel. Like if a client's doing an interview with like a magazine and it's a Zoom interview and maybe they say something they shouldn't have, or maybe like the conversation is leading in a direction that it should be paused, I'll always jump in, and my team will do this too. Like they're very confident and good at that. And it's like, oh, we need to move on, or like, oh, we can't use that. And you just need to jump in immediately and say that instead of sending an essay back to the reporter with notes,
Right.
which we still do sometimes, but
Yeah.
we're very protective. We're like the first line of defense, and it's hard to incorporate that in a live setting. And so, yeah, you just kind of, it's like sending a kid off to school on the first day. Like you're just hoping that they have all the tools and information to like do their very best, and like whatever happens, the cards will fall as they may. But yeah, it's like, it's interesting. You notice like who says less and who says more. And I'm always of the opinion that like less is more.
If you were to rank different kinds of media that a creator should have in order, what would it be? For example, like podcast, live TV, print, digital, speaking, radio, whatever else that I don't know about, events.
Yeah, that's an amazing question. I would say filmed podcast or TV. And the reason why, and I've really thought about this a lot lately because of just like some projects I'm working on. And I think that no matter how well like I know somebody, it's like a friend, like the way that people read things is so different than how they sound. Like you could, maybe make a joke that's not landing, or say something that is really serious and it's not sticking the way that you wanted it to. And when people can see your body language and hear you and relate to you, it just lands so much differently, and it's way more guaranteed to like be a home run in the way you want it to be, rather than like leaving that open to interpretation. And sure, like getting in a weekly that has 30 million, like unique monthly visitors is amazing, and it still matters for your SEO especially. But having like those clips, because clipping is a huge buzzword right now, which is crazy because it's like nothing new, but like posting a clip of like you on a podcast video or a TV show, like that's shareable, that people can like see you, relate to you, and I think that's what's really resonating right now.
One more question before I ask one of my like commenters' question to you.
Yeah.
It's about AI.
Okay.
What do we need to know and prepare ourselves with AI when it comes to press, when it comes to clips of ourselves in the media, and how should individuals protect their own IP in these circumstances if they don't have a PR team, and if they do have a PR team?
Yeah. I'm going to media train and answer the question I wish I was at. Just kidding.
Okay.
In a little bit of the way, I want to talk about something else too with
Love
AI, because I think like we have to work with it. We can't work against it. I used to just be like I still, it will not be second nature to me to like put something in chat and like synthesize it. And I'll have to be like reminded, oh, just use this for that. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, and I just, not that I think it's cheating. It's just like, I love writing. I love researching. I'm like a nerd, and it's just not my first, even it makes my life easier. It's not my first thought, but I think Claude is like really amazing as a tool. And it's helped me a lot because like when we, you know, create briefs for clients and for interviews, like we're telling them a little bit about the journalist, their recent bylines, you know, the talking points, and sending it to a client. Claude can create threat level analyses, which is really important for clients that are dealing with something more sensitive, maybe if you're talking about it. So it's like, I've had Claude be able to tell me something that an editor wrote 11 years ago that I never would have been able to found, that would identify bias and like a reason why we're not going to actually talk to that editor for whatever reason. And it would have, I would have never found it, or B, would have taken me 7 hours to find it. And so it could tell me like, here's what's going to happen if a client talks about this. It's going to be a little bit bad. You can still circumvent this if you prepare a client to talk about something this way. And so it's not replacing me. It's like telling me how to optimize my job. And so I think as a executive behind the scenes, that's really important. I think for creators, like you can't resist it. Like it's the same kind of ethos. Like you have to work with it. But I think that especially in Hollywood, like so many of the conversations I'm having and hearing are like, people want to bring work back to the city. They want to like, you know, invest into this industry. They don't want like AI to replace people. Like I think people are calling out advertisements that like specifically use AI. It's like beautiful, but it's like you're not hiring, it's expensive to hire, you know, a lighting person and a model and like go through all that. I mean, they talked about it in Devil Wears Prada too, and they were so candid about it. And I appreciated that because it's like the truth. And I don't think there's a black or white answer yet. It's kind of like, we'll see, but just I would keep making yourself as useful as possible and like as irreplaceable as possible. And like, you know, AI can't show up to a red carpet.
Yeah.
So
AI can't do that yet.
yeah, it can.
But AI can put you on a red carpet.
Yes.
Not a real one.
Yeah, we're not. No, I know that static image girl with 4 million followers and not go to the Met Gala. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
one more question that just popped in my head.
Yeah.
How should individuals be archiving or keeping track of their PR, and what should they be keeping track of? My assistant is here and she knows we do have a tracker that has like the outlet, the date it was out, the link to it, and then a comment. But are there any other
you are literally a
things that-
publicist. Like you are literally the CEO of GG Incorporated.
Yeah.
And no, like
true.
that's so impressive because that's exactly what we do. Like we create an
Yeah.
external tracker
Okay.
and track everything that our clients are mentioned in, but also stories that
Yeah.
like we are waiting to go live.
Okay,
And
that's
so
interesting.
a KPI that like we use like for, because we're not making money for our clients. Like
Right.
that can be a happy consequence of the work that we do, but we really establish like our, you know, value add and our worth by like how many views or impressions that we're generating for clients
Got
a
it.
month. And so I'm never going to tell a client, hey, you should talk to this blogger. They have 700 followers on Instagram. My client has 3 million followers and she's on the biggest Bravo show. Why would she do that?
Yeah.
And so we always want to make sure we're giving them opportunities that like at least meet them where they're at with their audience or add value. Or if it's a smaller opportunity, explain why. This
Right.
is more niche, but everybody's doing it. And like you need to be first and like you need to be doing it.
Yeah.
And so we explain them and give them the information about like what they're doing, explain to them. And then we keep all of it tracked, and like they can also, there's an internal version and an external version. So the external version, like we write notes, waiting for this to go live, should be on this date. So they can, you know, they're not like, what's going on with so-and-so? We're having heard from EBM. Like they can always check and see when they're waiting for something. And then internally, if we need to like add any notes to something, but we're always like calculating, oh, okay, great. Client was in Bustle. They were an entrepreneur. Like how many like unique monthly visitors or impressions that drove, which we can track on the back end, track. And then we calculate it at the end of every month and create like a really great wrap report. And we use clips. So it's like, here's how many, you know, articles you were in, podcasts you were in, how many views, how many streams. And it's a great tool for them to share with like their agents, their brand partners, their mom and dad, show and tell. And that's really just like how we hold ourselves accountable.
I love that. That's really reassuring to me because I have been doing this since 2021, I think. And I feel like sometimes I'm like, why am I tracking this? And other times I'll talk to someone like you and you're like, this is really smart. I'm like, okay, cool.
No, you're doing everything right. GG
Okay.
Inc.
So one more quick question from somebody they DM'd about PR. They said, I went viral 2 weeks ago and I got hit with my first wave of real backlash. I didn't do anything wrong. People just misread my video. I responded to my comments trying to explain myself, but I think it may have made it worse. Now that it's dying down, I'm a little scared it'll happen again. What should I have done, and what should I do next time?
Okay. Do we have context on like what it was about? Or?
No, just like in general, I would say, let's say this was about like a TikTok video they posted, and I don't know, we can make it up.
Oh no, it's okay.
Just
I can riff off of that.
Yeah, I just think it's more like anytime you say something, I literally am always thinking about this. I mean, we've chatted offline about certain things that like being Jewish is sometimes a scary place to be on the internet, and for me, at times that has been a point of contention in the DMs or in the comments. We can talk about my circumstance, but just anyone in general. Like if they're dealing with something and they're like, it's stopping them from moving forward.
Yeah.
It's stopping them from posting. It's stopping from doing any, I think revenue generating opportunity. How can they get through that?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. And I think that like paralyzing fear, it stops a lot of people. And it's the same way where it's like, if I've been guilty of this, where I won't pitch something, I won't advocate for myself, or not really for my clients, 'cause I'm more bold with them, but it's mostly with me. And like someone else will get the opportunity that I missed out on, not because they're more deserving, but because I didn't ask.
Yeah.
And like I think that if you let one thing stop you, like you really have to shake it off. And every single hour I make a mistake, honest to God. Like I make mistakes every single day. I just learn from them. And I never make the same mistake twice. I don't have an ego about it. I, acknowledge it. I'm not a denier. Like I think people respect that I'm like extremely accountable and honest.
Yeah.
I'm never like, well, this happened. Like, you know what? I own that. Sorry. Like heard. Like people just want to feel heard.
Yeah.
And so I think like you get really trapped when you get stuck in like having to apologize and issue a statement. And like, if you're issuing a statement, like you better have done something like really controversial, because otherwise, like I tell clients, that's a headline. Like that's another headline of you addressing the situation. And then maybe someone responds and then you feel like you have to respond again. And all of a sudden that is your character arc. And so it is better to like keep it moving. Like I always tell people, if they did something that offended somebody personally that they know, reach out to them. You never want the media to tell your story for you.
Yeah.
Directly apologize, like swallow your pride. People really respect that because it's a hard thing to do, but like you can't stay in that fear, and like analyze it, like acknowledge, like maybe you talked about something controversial, like something when I media train, I tell clients like, and this doesn't apply for everybody for various reasons, but you should avoid talking about the 4 Bs. I learned that during sorority rush. Were you in a sorority?
Tell me. Yeah, I was in Tri Delta.
Okay. I was a Pi Phi. I was like hardly in it, but and so the 4 Bs are bank account, booze, Barack, and boys. Obviously, if you're on Love Island, you're talking about boys. Obviously, if you're a financial influencer, you're talking about money. But those are the things you should generally avoid if you are just an everyday gal on the internet looking to get some evergreen PR. We don't need to hear from you about everything.
Right.
I had a client last year who asked me, because Fashion Week, unfortunately, it's a very eerie thing, always falls during 9/11.
Yeah.
And she asked if she should be posting, it wasn't even about 9/11. I think it was about something that had to do with like Iran during Fashion Week. And I had an honest conversation with her, and I was like, I love how much you care about like world issues and like want to be involved, but like I'm gonna be so real with you. People are following you because your hair tutorials are the best ones out there. That is what they want to hear from you on. You've never spoken about this before. Now is not the time to like insert yourself in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want this to be part of like what you're talking about, let's figure out how to make you more of an activist, or like, equip you with the right information. Like, because otherwise, like, it's just a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And I, analyze it like that proactively. I always love when they ask first instead of just posting and, figure it out later. But it is interesting because I think people feel like they need to be part of, and I'm sure you see this every day too, like every single thing happening in the world, we don't need to hear from you on it. We really don't. Like, it's not that deep.
I appreciate that perspective. I feel like it's something that I'm flooded in, not just my DMs, but just in the industry with videos of like, you need to be talking about this right now. You need to be. And it's like, but no.
You don't. And like, I've gotten in trouble like that too. Like there's some things where I felt like I really heated about this. I need to comment on it. And and it's, not backfired, but it's maybe like not generated in the results I was like hoping it would. Like, no, not everybody was like, hell yeah. Like, and so my business coach actually advises me. He's like, never talk about like anything remotely polarizing. And I'm like, but what about this? No. What about that? No. Like even things I don't think are polarizing, which is great to have someone to bounce it off of.
And I do just want to confirm, it's not to silence your voice. It's
No,
to
no.
enhance what you already have going for you and protect what you do have going. That does make you money. That does make you uniquely you. You can still have all of these beliefs. We're not saying don't do that.
Oh my gosh, of course, 100%. And even if you want to make your platform about that, great. But it's like the same way where it's like PR, like there's a runway. Don't do it overnight. Like
Yeah.
organically take people to that if you really want to. So I've had clients do career pivots that are felt impossible at one point, but like looking back are like, it's people see it and they're like, oh, of course, she was always meant to do X, Y, Z. So it's
Yeah.
not impossible. It's just like instant gratification is your number one enemy.
Yeah. Well, this was amazing. I feel like I could literally talk to you for
It
hours.
was just so fun.
We may have to do a little sequel out in France.
I love it.
Could be fun.
Amazing.
But thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you,
incredible.
Gigi. I'm so impressed with everything you built, by the way. Like,
Thanks.
look where we are. Like,
Yeah,
this is because
look
of
where we
you.
are.
Gigi
That's
Inc.
true.
She's her manager, her publicist, her agent, like everything in
True.
between. Obviously, you have great people helping you,
Yeah.
but like you are like the blueprint for what you do.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Well,
having
hopefully,
me.
guys, sometime soon, Emily will be on my team, okay? Sometime soon. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.